Hey everybody, I have a new mod video from Empire Pinball, and this is from Mezel Mods for Munsters Pinball by Stern. I believe these are universal that could be used on all three versions, the Pro, the Premium, and the LE. So let's get started. So the first mod I'm gonna do is Doggie's Din Din, which is super easy. There's double-sided tape, double-sided tape. You'll see a notch cut out in this ring, and that allows you to clear the screws that hold the flasher dome cover. So you just slide that on there, make sure that the grooves line up with the screw holes, peel the tape, and you're done. And then peel the tape on Doggie's Din Din, set it on top, and you are good to go. So let's get started. All right, all tape is removed. Put that right over the screw holes, the screws. Press down. All right, that is secure. So now we just need to remove the 4 pieces of double-sided tape. Press it on. And that is that. On to the next mod. Let's do Dragula Drag Tree next. The first thing we're gonna do is we need to find node board 9A, which if you go to Mezel's website, they have an installation picture. It's on the right-hand side of the pinball playfield, and it is this connector right here. They do say it is CN3. So this is CN3. And we're gonna take the provided connector that they give us, and that's gonna plug. You're gonna unplug the connector there. That's gonna plug into their provided connector. And it can only go one way because they have these little tabs right here to prevent you from putting it in backwards. Now, on this side there's a little ridge, and that ridge needs to be lined up with these plastic guides. So that means this is going to have to go this direction. Which, this could be a little tricky. Not a lot of room with the lower playfield here. There's one. And all this is a pass through, so you can get power to that connector. So it's gonna go something like that. And then what we're gonna do is this wire is gonna go around to the other side of the playfield, which I'll show you right now. So what we're going to do is we actually have to go to the top side of the playfield. Now, the drag tree light is actually gonna come through this hole right here. So we gotta feed it through the top side of the playfield down, and then it will come around here and meet up with this cable that I just plugged in with the connector that goes to CN3 on 9A node board. So what I've got to do now, lower the playfield. We need to remove one of the nuts that hold the wire form on so this can mount to it, and then lift up the plastic and thread this through this hole. So let's go to the top side of the playfield. So now we're on the top side of the playfield. What I'm going to have to do is remove this nut and this nut. This plastic will come up, and I'm gonna run this wire down through that oval that I showed you on the bottom side of the playfield. And then this hole will line up and go underneath this nut right here. So it'll look something like that. Okay, now right there is our hole that I showed you earlier. So that's just gonna slot right through there, feed it down. out like that, and we'll put this back together and get our washer. So one thing to note is you need to put this nut back on first before you reinstall the wire form. So after you get your cable running through the playfield, go ahead and put this nut back on and tighten it down, because you won't have access to it after you put the wire form back on. So snug that back down. Now you can arrange your Dragula light, and I think what I'm going to do is put the washer after this piece, because since this is a 3D printed piece and I have that nut just torqued down on there, it could crack it. So I think what I'm going to do is put the washer on top, then the nut, and tighten everything up. So I'm going to do this one first, and then I'm going to position the drag light. And with this one, I think I'm going to do it head on with that lines up with the car. That's nice and solid, not going anywhere. I was able to put some decent pressure on that screw without feeling nervous about over torquing it and breaking the plastic here. So I think we're good on that. So we just need to lift up the playfield, plug in our connector, and that mod is done. And you can see where I've run the wire from the top side of the drag tree. So we have our wire, and that's going to come around to meet up with the other end of that connector, which is right here. It's a little tight fit, so I'm going to have to go under some of these wires. It just barely goes. So it's long enough and it's not under any kind of tension. And yeah, I'm tight on the top side. So that mod is now done. On to the Tesla coils. So what we're looking at here is the left flasher assembly, which is right here, closest to the flippers. And there is a Phillips head screw and a nut. There's one for each side. There's one right there and then one right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove this, and then this will be put away, for safekeeping. If you want to reverse the mod, you can always put your stock flashers back. So I'm going to remove these two screws and we'll mount the new one. I'm going to do this a little differently than what's on their website. They recommend to put a wrench here and here on the underside of the nut and then undo the Phillips. But I think what I'm going to do, just to illustrate what's going on, is actually remove this playfield plastic, which is just two Phillips head screws. That way you can really see what's going on underneath there. I did go ahead and disconnect that connector underneath, so that should just come up through the hole. I might have to go into there and coax it a little bit, but you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. So we've got the nut and then the Phillips. And we will just pull flasher unit out and the dome. And then the new one will just go right in place of the old one. When you're ready to install the new Tesla coil, it has two pieces. It has the actual securing ring and then this piece which slots on. Okay, now that we've got our screws attached, it's going to kind of sit something like that. So now we want to feed our connector through, get our coil kind of situated, and you can rotate it. I think I'm going to have it where the wire is kind of facing the playfield, or the player, so you can kind of see it. It kind of clicks in, which is nice. And now I need to feed this connector through this little hole right here to the bottom side of the playfield. Okay, I got that wire through. This Molex is a little tight right here, so what I did is just from the top side, just with the screwdriver, just gave it a little push and it was able to clear that hole. So, and then this just connects up to the Z connector here, and you'll see the little tangs right here match up with that. And that's it. There is the finished result. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and it's pretty much the same installation on either side. You know, the connectors will be slightly different, and there are pictures on Mezel's website on each connector for the flashers, where to tie into. So it's pretty easy now that you see how it's done. Well, that's everything from Mezel that I have so far. And I hope this has helped you guys out installing your mods on your machine. Thanks for watching, and keep flipping.